Welcome to the CT Sports Talent Show. My name is Christopher Saunders, and it's funny because typically I have coaches or players on, although you just said that you used to coach, so technically you're kind of still a part of it
Yeah,
to a
yeah.
degree.
And I
But
played 100 years ago,
and hey, you may recognize the voice and the face. Bob Rumbold is with me. My guy, first off, just want to say congratulations on one hell of a career. And I know the days as far as close to retirement are coming up, and by shock of a lot of people, shock me. But I just want to say
Oh, really?
congratulations for
Yeah.
you.
It's time. You know what I mean? I'm not a kid anymore, even though, I act like one. And you know what I mean? But I'm 72. So, and it's been, I love it. I love doing it.
Mhm.
But the drive's gotten long and 100 miles is enough, and it's just putting the camera on my shoulder is, enough of that, and I go to a chiropractor already. You know what I mean? So, but it was just, it's one of those things where I thought about it actually at the end of 2024, and I just kind of hemmed and hawed. You know what? I thought, I just they deserve I'll do it to the end of the school year and get through the travelers and like the week or so after that so they can start to get some of their vacations in and time off or whatever. And then I'll right off into the sunset, which is in the sense what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Although when I leave, it'll be late at night, so it won't exactly be sunset in New Haven anyway.
Yeah,
So,
right. But you know what? I think about just the amount of sports that you've seen throughout the years in the state of Connecticut, the stories that you've told. I said in the tweet as far as the lives the lives that you've been able to tell their stories, right?
mhm.
I mean, are you able to realize what you've been able to accomplish on your side during your career?
I don't know. I'm just trying, to me, it's just, I'm having fun. I'm out there with the people again, be it the coaches or the kids or whatever. And it's just, the idea that I can bring stories to light is awesome. You know what I mean? But I get as much pleasure from it probably as they do. You know what I mean? The idea of interacting in different sports, you name it. Be it the high schools, be it below, be it above.
Hmm.
I mean, I got a background in the youth ages too, so it's kind of like going all the way up. So even the pros, that's fun too. You know what I mean? And so and obviously when you live in the state of Connecticut, there's a lot of great basketball. You know what I mean? And so there are just all kinds of different sports. I mean, boxing. I was talking to well, John Scully is someone I covered, from the time from like 1987, and he's kept every story ever done on him. I don't know how he did it, but he did. And when he was a young guy from Windsor, just boxing in Springfield, and so it's the idea of being able to follow through with all these people who are now adults and doing their own thing. I mean, John's a trainer; he's got like the heavyweight champion or whatever. So I mean, yeah. So it's just kind of like cool that all these different people you get to bring to light and let you and others and whatever know who they are. You know what I mean? Because sports is just a fantastic thing, because it builds relationships. And it's not just about who wins and all that kind of stuff. It's about making people better, making better people. And the idea of me being able to meet these really good people has been so much fun for all these years.
Was there ever a point that during your career, and you've had it not to age you, but you've been doing it for a long time, was there ever a point where you wanted to? Because in conversations I've had with coaches and athletes, no matter the age or how long they've been doing it, there was
Hmm.
at one point or a couple points where they wanted to hang it up or say, I can't do this. For you, was there ever a point like that during your time?
Nope. Never. Nope. Until now, basically. I mean, seriously, it's just, again, it's so much fun. It beats working. It's not a real job. I've had a real job. That's hard. And this, I mean, could there be better stuff? Yeah. Could I be a millionaire? Yeah. Could there be this and that? But beyond that, it's you know, when I go to work every day, it's not really a job. It's a pleasure. I get to talk about sports. See, out of your mind? Are you kidding me? Do you know how many people would want to do that? And then look at the screen and say, I could do that. And they probably could, but I'm the one that gets to do it. So, it's yeah, I've been lucky. I've been lucky to be able to do it as long as I have, I guess.
Mhm.
And people like me enough to keep me to
Well,
not get rid of.
I see like the energy that, just in the short conversations I've had with you during my times of doing
Hmm,
the soccer championships, when I see you about, you're always
hmm,
like, I kind of like, and I don't know if I've said this on the air when I've mentioned you, because I'm like, because during soccer, I'll be like, oh, there's Bob and he's doing his thing, for news channeling and whatnot, right?
right.
So, I always kind of, what comes to my head is like Pete Carroll, right? Pete
Hmm,
Carroll, who's
yeah.
now with the Raiders,
He's
who's
my
got
age.
so much energy
Yep.
and is bouncing. I'm not saying maybe you're bouncing off the walls too, and that's fantastic.
Mhm.
But I feel like that kind of like, how do I put this? Your
Energy.
age doesn't match your energy. That's what I'm
No.
trying to say.
Yeah. No, I don't feel old. So what the heck? You know what I mean? This is, and plus doing it, there's just something to it, and it's also part, in a sense, when you're on the air, it's part of the job. Because what I'm trying to do is, my living room's over there. Well, that's where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be in their living room, and all we're doing is we're sitting and saying, "Hey, look at that! Isn't that cool?" Or, "Oops, look what happened there." So I mean, basically, that's my job is to come into your living room. Well, to do that, it takes energy because you got to break that wall.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Now, I'm not thinking about that because all I'm thinking about is having a good time. I mean, over the years, um, I've been told or whatever. Sometimes it's like, sometimes we have to get people to be more excited. We don't have to do that for you. In fact, had people try to like bring me back. You know what I mean? Like I'm too much. But but that's just who I am. So I don't know. That's just the way it is.
Hey, it's worked. It's allowed you
Yeah.
to do your thing for so long, and it's been pretty successful in my opinion. I think a lot of people would agree on that.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate that, Chris. In terms of that is, it's kind of like if I'm showing enthusiasm, every time so often things go wrong and this and that, you know, it's stuff that some people get upset about. You know what? More room for comedy. When things happen, if you roll with it, the people at home say, "Oh, it's human." Because stuff happens to them. Things don't work. TV,
Oh,
and TV, you got so many people that things just, they don't hit the button right, or the thing happens, or
yeah,
this, or
yeah,
I forget to put the video in. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So it
I
happens.
I can tell you just again, I haven't been on camera as much as you have, but when I'm calling games, no matter if it's for ATR for radio, when I'm with my partner Dave Grant for
Mm,
basketball, or if I'm with Kirk or Blanchard for NFHS or Glenn or whatever, like I'm a very open person. Like I don't hide. Like I talk about my dog, I talk about my wife, like but when the moment is needed. But like I'm also like I've also said stuff where it's like, wow, I was stupid. That was dumb. But like not in like a bad way. But I'm not afraid. Like the people like I feel like some people want it so bad, but are unable to just be themselves. And they sound like robots, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yep.
And that's
Yeah.
tough.
The
People
idea
see
is just,
that.
just be you. You know what I mean? That's the idea. Just be me. That's who I am. And that's the way I've always thought, even though sometimes they talk, oh, you're too much. Well, I guess I'm too much because that's just, I am too much. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm getting excited about whatever this is, you know what I mean? Because I think it's important. So should you. You know what I mean? So,
Is there any venue that every single time that you went to it, let's say if it was Mohegan or Palmer or whatever, or it could even be a high school field, where every single time that you've been able to go there to film a game, talk to a coach, a player, whatever, that not that it gives you goosebumps, but it's like you get that sense of like, you know, this is just a beautiful spot. Like I just love being here every time.
wow, that's a great question.
Because
Because,
you've been to a lot of places.
yeah. Yeah.
You have a lot of miles on your well, beyond the fact of your car.
Yes, isn't that yeah, that is the truth. I can feel them right here. Like it's right in the middle of my back. But the that's a great question because I'm trying, it's like you can talk about walking into the different stadiums. I mean,
Yeah.
um you remember things. I mean, if like Fenway's, or Yankee Stadium, I mean, that's great. But there are so many great venues in this state. Like you said, just like or Palmer Field or even like Gamble. It's just stuff in there, Or to be honest with you, in the Dietrich and because Horsley Edwards and all these great people and Howie there, and so I mean there are all sorts of different places. Even just like the Britton Stadium's a great place, and Dillon, I played it, it was I know it was a trap by the end and they had to fix it up, but I played there when I was a kid. I played soccer there at that point. But I do remember, different like let's just say you mentioned Yankee Stadium and how you remember things so long ago. So and you probably know, I'm not meaning to brag, but so I was on the 65 Little League World Champions, okay, back in the day. And so that fall, I'm trying to think, it was that fall. We were invited to a Mickey Mantle Day. All right. And so we're coming in and we're coming out of they let us in the dugout and they let us on the field and all this kind of stuff. And the things you remember, all right, I'm 12 years old. All I can remember is that we walk we walk out up to the dugout and I turn right and I look to my left and there's Clete Boyer with a chaw of tobacco that was out to me. And I thought, oh, Clete, yeah, it's,
It had to be healthy.
oh yeah, it was so funny. Oh, it was hilarious. To be honest with you, there was a picture that year because they bring all the kids. We're 12 years old. What the hell? And so we take a picture with Mickey Mantle, and I'm like sitting right here. Well, I like the Red Sox. I'm not a Yankees fan, so I was kind of like, yeah, this is great. It's fine. And so years later, Rich Capola's, he's a huge Yankee fan. And so there's a this they took a picture and it was in the Hartford Current, 100 years ago. And so buys this Yankee book and he's going through the pages and he looks at it and there's that picture. And so he looks and there's, me like this little dope standing there next to Mickey Mantle. And I could, I'm like, smiling because, you got to have that TV smile even when you're 12 years old. And, but he was always jealous of that picture because, God, you got to meet Mickey Mantle. It was great, but it's just funny because I wasn't as engaged. Let's say he would have been in awe. It would have been, spectacular. But those are the kinds of things that you remember even as if you're a little kid. But I mean, over the years, even the Excel Center, or it was the Civic Center. Okay, I mean, it's still, it's a great venue. It should be a different venue now because if we did, you'd have a hockey team here. Had they raised it and put something else in there that was state of the art, or made the convention center area that and done that. But that's something for another day. So,
Yeah,
but
I think the mammoths would not be the mammoths
no,
if that happened.
right,
They
right.
may be something else in the state of Connecticut.
Let's be honest. I mean, Connecticut's a good hockey state from that point
Which
of view.
is which is kind of, it's funny that you mentioned that too, because like we talk about like the sports that get a lot of coverage, and obviously there's only so many places for people to go. People can't be everywhere at once, right?
Mm.
But I feel like what I've noticed is that hockey seems to be shrinking in numbers from people I've talked to, one of them being
Mhm.
Dave Blanchard, who's a hockey guru in the state of
Yeah,
Connecticut. He's told me the numbers are down. There's more co-ops than anything because you can't, because it's so expensive. I mean, there's so many factors with it. But
it
even
costs a
with
lot
all
of money.
that, hockey is still like very strong in this state.
Yeah, it is. It is. And kids are, all over the place. There's enough of it. It's still a niche sport from the point of view of, who plays because it's hard. I mean, I had buddies. I was from Windsor Locks, and I had buddies who, a couple of them were on the hockey team back 100 years ago. But that ended up even then that was a co-op because it was Suffield and Windsor Locks and
Hmm.
whatever the case may be. I think it still is something like that now. Pardon me. Sadly, other sports, Windsor Locks had to go to co-op in football and stuff like that, which is sad. You know, although I ended up playing soccer only because I would have loved to have played football, but we didn't have it till my junior year. Somebody had died, way back when, and they'd stopped it, and they
Hmm.
didn't bring it back until I was a junior, and they were only doing JV for 2 years.
Oh.
So yeah, and we were good in soccer, so we had chances to win state championships. So my buddies were on the team, so we all played. So we won one in '70. Yeah, so the state championship in soccer, but whatever.
Hey, that's still good. Nothing wrong
Oh
with
yeah, oh yeah. And those are things you don't forget. I mean, even something as simple as the idea that um, we were the only ones that played. Why? I have no idea. Back then, it was pouring. It was terrible. It was a monsoon,
Hmm.
and M was the only one that played. Was it? I don't know if they had double L then. They might only had L, M, and S. But whatever it was, the
Hmm.
others were postponed, and we're out there playing in this slop. We played, I think it was St. Paul's, and beat them 7-0 or something like that. But we just happened to have a good team that year, and E.O. Smith was like, those are the ones we had to beat, and we
Hmm.
happened to beat them that year. You know, they were down just a hair, just enough to get them. So, but. I'm trying to think of other venues. I mean, actually Mohegan's a really nice place. You know what I mean? It's a cool place to go to actually watch basketball. So, but it's not, whereas somebody else you walk in and you say, ooh, you know, but there are so many nice places to go around the state, whether for whatever sport it
Hmm.
is, that even the DeLuca, like going there for the softball was fine. And now UConn's place. I mean, what they did with baseball and softball, and the hockey program, they probably could have made the hockey arena bigger, but it's you know again, it's kind of what happens. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
you've seen a lot of sports, obviously, and you speak about UConn, the other high schools, and everything that's going on in the state. Like you've been a big part of it, and
Mhm.
it's one of those things, Bob, where I think even though you will be retired, you will be surely missed. And I
Thanks, buddy.
also think too that, big shoes to fill, and it will be very tough to replace somebody with your energy and charisma. I know obviously Eric and John do fantastic work, but there's only one of you, just like there's one of them.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I mean, you know, I suppose I could go on longer, but after a while, there's sooner or later. But
Hey, if you want to join in for a broadcast, you're always welcome.
I'll do that.
Always welcome.
Would love to. Would love to.
You got to come up to the valley, though.
Hey, you know what? There's good action up in the valley, isn't there? I mean, it's, you know, tooth and nail. I mean, Ansonia maybe number one, but they have to earn it.
It's going to be this year's going to be interesting with Woodland, with what they got coming back.
Yep.
Naugatuck is always fighting with Anderson. I mean, they always fight in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Holy Cross always has talent. Some years they're a little bit down, but they've been very good over the last stretch
Right.
post-COVID. And then the rest of the teams I could go down the line who were kind of iffy last year that are looking to rebound. Oxford and Derby. Wilby's got a very energetic coach with Coach Atkinson, who
Mhm.
is a Wilby guy through and through. And, he's the kind of guy that is trying to build the program, to where, Wilby can, because when you think of Wilby, you think of other sports before football is even mentioned.
Right. Right.
He
And
wants
try
to
to get
have that.
football in the same breath with them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to join the careers and the Kennedys that just made the playoff for football. Kennedy,
Yeah.
I was surprised that even when
That
they were
was something,
winning
wasn't
it,
it? Yeah.
yeah, they never made it for football until last.
Right. Right. You wonder what happened. Did they redistrict? You know,
You know what it is?
or that they found kids.
That's the thing. Coach Sarlo has been with the program now for I think it's since 2005. I think
Mhm.
2005, 2006. And It just so happened where things just went right with scheduling, what you got the right group of kids, a couple of things went your way because they're in double L. So being in double
I
L,
know that.
like
Well, see, that's just, that's tough. That's
it
tough.
is. I mean, two
No,
losses, three losses, you're booted out. I mean,
right.
2 years ago, they had missed it by percentage points because that was the year that Fairfield Prep would, Fairfield Prep had 4 wins and they got in
Yeah,
because their
yeah,
schedule was extremely tough. Now they deserved it,
right.
but it just goes to show they won, I think it was 6 games that year, and they were just behind because of the points and all that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not that double L stuff. I mean,
It's a
you're
gauntlet.
battling, and as a coach, you're, like his job, it's not easy because you're trying to keep the kids together. You know what
Yes.
I mean? There's a lot of stuff going on around their lives that make it hard for them to commit.
Mhm.
So the ability one to get them to be able to commit, and then get them to be with your program.
Yeah.
It's a great job. You
I
know.
agree with that. But Bob, we're running out of time here. I really do appreciate you coming on right before your swan song, your final, final day doing what you're
Thanks,
doing.
buddy. Well, thanks for
Congratulations.
asking. And anytime, it's yeah, I'll always find a time for you. You know what I mean? But and it's always good to see you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Bob. That wraps things up in the CT Sports Talent Show. Next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. Try to find them all. Enjoy the show, everybody, and be well.